keep striving for this religion that we preach. Keep pushing, for nothing's ever out of reach. Because the time we keep on driving, it's all that much we go. The time we keep on fighting, and these colors I wear will be sold through the skins of my soul.
Okay, welcome to another edition of the Luton Town International Podcast, joined as ever by Gavin Daly. We have a win to talk about and a stunning strike. So what do you make of Declan Rice's strike?
Hey, what did I tell you in the last podcast? If you don't win, what was it, 3 or more, then technically it's not a win. So I'm starting my petition.org to give Ireland the points.
Yeah, okay, on that basis we lost Saturday.
Yeah, he's lost. Exactly. Oh, Luton?
Yeah.
It'd be par for the course for the season.
But yeah, okay, other than the facts, yes, we completely dominated Ireland. I'll let you off on that part because it's, I just thought I'm going to get that little dig in.
These were fucking terrible. It's just we were worse.
Hey, we did what we had to do.
Once again, just proved that you need the Irish to do anything.
Yeah, well, if you hadn't stolen them in the first place.
If you hadn't stolen them in the first place.
Born in England, that's what I'm saying.
Born in England, Jesus. To what? To what? Grandparents, parents of Irish people that had to go over there. We won't get political. No, we won't. We'll save that. We'll save that for the WhatsApp, Nick.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, we'll get back to actually the important football because pre-season friendlies and glorified friendlies don't really count. So it's
Exactly.
It's national. So yeah, we got a win, and it was Rob Edwards said it was probably our worst performance of the season. So it was kind of first half I actually thought we controlled it quite well. Millwall is always a place you're going to have to scrap for a result.
Yeah,
probably scrap if you're a fan as well, but that's a different story. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll talk about the goal first of all. Tendon Mengi, a little side foot in, close range. Couldn't miss really, could he?
No, it was the easiest goal he'll probably ever score. Yeah, I mean, as you said, first half I didn't think was too bad. Second half, they're gonna go for it, and the way Millwall are gonna want to play, and they're gonna want to get the ball forward quick. They're gonna want to get the ball forward in the air and look to use their big centre forwards, which they didn't seem to have Bradshaw, which was nice. But second half we were way below it. It was. But
I think even said that the chance they had though, they're of our own making. I mean, obviously the crucial one, the 1-on-1, it was Pelly decided to give the ball away in midfield, so it was short. Kaminsky, made a very good save. Yeah, paid the money for him. That's what he does, but it was a crucial save. Really big save.
Because you can imagine the difference just in the fan base itself. I'm sure the difference in the dressing room, getting that monkey off your back of getting your first win, because we have played well in so many other games. Like I thought we played pretty well, especially for the first 30 minutes against Portsmouth. We should have been probably 2 up, 3 up. Obviously the sending off changes the game and you're playing with 10 men and whatnot, but I thought we played okay against Portsmouth, but the second half against Millwall was probably as poor as I've seen us this season, considering the players we had out there. Like we had a lot of I don't think we count Burnley considering what we were playing with when we were playing Burnley, but second half wasn't good. I think I said to you during the first half that Liam Walsh was really impressing me, just coming back, getting the ball off the defenders and being able to put balls around corners and pick out passes and everything. And then in the second half, he looked like he'd never played football before. He just could not pick out a pass. Like everything was, and it wasn't just him. Like I'm not just picking out him. Everything was going astray. It was just like we'd forgot how to play.
I mean, I think some of the credit you have to give that Millwall's press. They did get their press a lot better in the second half. And it's sort of, I don't want to sit here and criticise our players too much after a win, especially it's when obviously the team you're playing, they have to play their part as well into it. And fine, would it be nice if Millwall sat back and said, pop your pass around, but they're obviously not going to do that. Nobody's going to do that in this league.
No, it's a really, really tough league, and yeah, Millwall were always going to come out in the second half and have a go. I was disappointed by some of the, considering what we'd seen in the first half and some of the players, like the level. I wouldn't even say the level dropped. It was just they. How do I word this without getting in trouble? They just Millwall upped the quality and the press in their game, but our quality definitely went down.
I think they have the press. I think it's kind of, it is a thing of this league. It's you've got a lot of fairly similar players or something. It's you get the outstanding ones, but if you can press and actually do the space, and that's a championship all over. That's why anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah,
which we've seen. You mentioned Walsh. Obviously, I think he had sort of mainly a good game, and it's sort of for a free transfer, people were fairly underwhelmed by him. But if we paid money for him, people would have been raving in that first half performance.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things, like the as I said, second half the performance, the quality went down, but you've also got to take into account that the guy's had injury problems and he hasn't played in how long, and he didn't join us for preseason, so he hasn't got that behind him either. So he's still catching up, and you could see come near the end of the game, he was hunched over, he was absolutely fucking knackered. It'll take him a while to get up the levels, just like it will with Nakamba or anyone else that was injured for a serious amount of time.
I was going to. I mean, there were quite a few positives. So, well, apart from the win, Nakamba coming back, that's a big positive, and he's a big player on sort of how we want to play and everything else. And he can get that, say, for 60, 65 minutes, whatever it was, and he can build it up from there because he just gives you that calm little sort of shield. And even for Menga's goal, after sort of half our team had a shot at goal, saved by the keeper a couple of times, and Nakamba, I think it's sort of was it Walsh and Nakamba, and then he just sort of side saw Mengi there, just sort of rolls across him, and Mengi did the rest. Yeah,
I mean, Nakamba is so important for us, and Millwall probably aren't the best example of this, but you look at how much harder it was for them when they tried to. They didn't do it a lot, but when they tried to play through our midfield, how much more difficult it was than it has been in previous games to just play through, just play through our midfield. Teams have been doing it far too easily. With Nakamba back in there and with Walsh as well, it just became. We obviously had more possession of the ball as well, so we were, as you said, we dominated the first half pretty much, and a lot of that was thanks to Walsh and Nakamba just dominating the pace of the game and taking control of it, And they're two players that we have to keep fit this season. Walsh impressed me in the first half. I want to see more of him. I want to see can he up that performance level even more. We all know what Nakamba can do, and it's important that we keep him fit.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the in terms of man of the match things, I know you had Kaminsky. I picked out a couple, which one of which the Luton News actually agreed with, and also there's some good news with him today as well. So Doughty and Chong, I thought first half especially, and then I think there's one in the second half. They were terrified of Chong, and he was unlucky not to score as well. Doughty is consistently getting down that right flank, which they struggled with that badly in the first half. I think switching across there, they weren't expecting that, and he was giving the torrid time as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. Like, I don't think anyone held their heads up in the second half. As I said, I thought the second half performance was quite poor. Doughty in the first half was good. Chong had his moments. I'm not 100% convinced on Chong. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, if you're going to play him out wide, then I don't necessarily have a problem with it. Is when he's more central. To me, he just gets pushed off the ball too easy. And it's been like, it's not the first time I've said it. I said it all last season in the Premier League as well. Like, it's not his game. It's like, I'm not trying to say he needs to change or he needs to do anything because it's not his game. I just think we get him out wide. I think him and Doughty have a good understanding on the left when the two of them play together. But I'm not. Chong had a decent game, but to me, the reason why I say Kaminsky is simple. Yes, he did his job, and that's what we're paying him for. I don't want to become Roy Keane here and go, he's doing his job. He just did his job, but he did his job. But without him, we come away from that without a win and possibly a loss.
I mean, I think the sort of, the two big saves. Obviously, the 1-on-1 was a crucial one, and that's sort of, you wouldn't expect a keeper. I mean, the striker's favourite there. Obviously, he's a striker that's just come out non-league, but the striker was favourite, and he does get it on target and sticks out a good foot. The second, you
expect him to save.
You expect him to save, but I mean, the timing of it is crucial as well.
He still has to save it.
Yeah, I mean, Millwall have got sort of 10 players in the box plus whoever delivered the corner in. There's including the keepers up there as well. So he's got this big thing in his eye line. And somehow they get ahead to it, which they shouldn't do with the defenders we've got there. But obviously, people don't always play by the rules. So yeah, that would have been gut wrenching. That gone in.
Yeah, and to me, it's what you would call a routine save. But considering the timing of the game and considering where you're at in the game, the one thing he absolutely can't do is save that and put it back into the box because there's too many players there. There's far too many players. It can go off anyone and go fucking in. He gets a hand to it and he makes sure to push it towards that side to get it out of that box area. To me, that's more than anything what was so good about it. Like to have that calmness about him. And yeah, again, he's doing his job. He's a goalkeeper. He's supposed to make them saves. But just having the calmness at that crucial time to just know, can't push it down there, got to push it that way. Got to get it out of the box.
And obviously, he's mentioning, as I said, Doughty signed a new contract today, which is not something I really expect to see coming. But it's, I don't know how close it's been to out of contract, but that is very, very good news, especially with the interest that's been in him. Yes, maybe his final ball's not been there at times this season, but that is a quality player. Yeah,
how long did he sign for?
Oh, they never tell us that. It's a long term, they said.
Is there a release clause?
They don't tell us that either. Probably not. But
how much are you getting paid per week? I'm making a point here. The club don't tell us fucking anything.
Do we need to?
The thing is, like, I think at this point, I don't know if it's the club just trolling because most like the last bit, how much is he earning? Like most clubs are not going to release that, but most clubs will turn around and say such and such has signed a 3-year contract with an option of a 4th year, or whatever it may be. Luton just don't do that. It's just like they troll everyone. They're just like, yeah, you signed a contract for how long? Not telling you.
Yeah, they said a long-term contract, so you've got to assume that's at least 3 years.
You sure?
Well, no.
Remember, because the only thing I'll say is, remember, Barkley was a long-term contract.
Yeah, however, Barkley's also sort of was never ever going to stay when he went down.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a long-term contract, but what's the release clause?
Actually, no, Barkley, they didn't say long-term contract. They just said it's more than one lesson.
It's more than 1 year. It's more than 1 year, I think, is what they said.
Yeah.
But to me, the length of the contract isn't important. To me, it's what clauses are in that contract. And the most important one being, what's the release clause, if there is one?
We don't tend to normally put those into contracts.
We don't. But you've got to think, if Doughty's agent's doing his job properly, that it's in there.
Mm.
Because Doughty, in the piece, spoke about, playing in the Premier League and wanting to get back to that level. And yes, we have every chance to do that again this year. Didn't start off well. We've got some ground to make up now, but there's still obviously the possibility there. But if we don't go up, is how long is he willing to wait? And that's why I say, what's the release clause? Because I'm sure, I'm 98% sure there's a release clause in there somewhere.
I think basically the way the club do this stuff is they'll never stand the players way if the offer comes in that's right. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a release clause. Like, Benny, for example, wouldn't have had an £8 million release clause, but they just thought, you know what, £8 million for a guy who can run fast? Yeah, we'll take that.
Benny can do more than run fast, and you know it. Yeah, I mean, It's not me complaining, because I love the fact that the club were just trolling people, because you're just gonna have everyone talking now. How long is it? Like, basically what we're doing right now. How long is it? Like, is there what releases are in there? What's the deal with the contract? What's the information in the contract? Club won't give you anything, and it's good, because here's the thing: like, they're not releasing anything, and I'm sure, like, if he really wanted to move, his agent knows what's in the contract and can probably get him to move. But for the most part, clubs won't know either.
But yeah, we'll see. We're obviously in the contract. They've not announced anything since non-league days, and I think that's that's just basically the way the club works now. And there's no issue with it. I said it doesn't matter how much we sign players for everything, as that always comes out anyway. How much they sold them for, it's always undisclosed. That always comes out.
Yeah.
Wages, we don't need to know.
No, it's personal information.
Yeah, again, that will come out at some point, or the tabloids will do it, because the tabloids seem to know what everybody's on. It's they also seem to know that Mengi was signing for an Italian club,
Torino. I'm telling you, dude. Like, I think that deal. I think that deal was done between Mengi and his Mengi's agent in Torino, and then Torino thought they could just come to us and go, "Yeah, we'll give you $2 million," and Luton just went, "Fuck off."
Yeah, it's an interesting way of doing business. I think we've mentioned that beforehand.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunately it's the way things seem to be done these days. But yeah, I honestly think that's what happened. Like, Mengi's agent basically said, "Hey, Torino are going to pay you this much. This is, everything's kind of agreed." And then Torino went to Luton and went, "Yeah, we'll give you $2 million." And Luton just went, "No."
So, right, you're coming to us now. So, right, $2 million. Did you miss a zero off? Oh, you can't afford that. Bye bye.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
I mean, speaking of agents and sort of how deals are done and everything else, Joe Taylor, apparently Huddersfield are confident of landing for $2 million in January. I think Alan Nixon, ever since he actually decided to get his paid for column, I think he just put some crap in there just to try and sort of get people subscribing.
Well, here's the thing: if you're offering $2 million for Taylor right now, as long as there's a nice little sell-on fee, you take it, right? Like, how much did we buy him for? We bought him for next to nothing.
It's about $500,000, I thought. So
yeah, like next to nothing. You're making a profit on it. The main thing for someone like Taylor is making sure you have a really good sell-on clause.
Yeah.
Like, if someone offers you $2 million for Taylor in January, and Adebayo is hit form, Morris is hit form, and you have Woodrow. I know everyone fucking hates Woodrow for some reason, but you have Woodrow. Are you not inclined to kind of go, off you go?
And Brown you got as well as come back.
And you got Brown coming back as well. I'm looking at someone who can play through the middle. I don't think Brown can play through the middle. I think he'll play one of the two sides.
I think he'll play wide, but he can play through the middle as well.
Yeah, but you got them three, and I know people are clamoring for Taylor to play and get minutes, and I hope he does. Like, I want to see the youngster get a decent run or a decent chance, but you got Adebayo and Morris. Like, yeah, Morris was dropped to the bench on Saturday.
Yeah,
like it's not even like you're getting into the team there. You got to beat Morris to the bench.
Yeah, I mean, I think he reverted back to try and change like he did for Statius last season. He basically started playing one up front, then bringing the other one on, and then it got to the stage that sort of one came on and scored, and then I can play both. Plus the fact we had injuries at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, Adebayo hasn't had a great start to the season, so I wouldn't be surprised if Morris starts the next game. But
I don't think either of them got much change out of Millwall's back line, but it's kind of difficult when you're playing that lone centre forward thing. So you're occupying them, you're being a handful. Mm-hmm. It's difficult to get the chance there. I mean, he had a couple of half chances again, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's not firing on all cylinders right now, considering what he was doing in the Premier League last season, where I think he had the second or third best conversion rate. Yeah. It is what it is. He started slow. It's not a problem. It's not a problem until you get about 10, 15 games in. If we get 10, 15 games in, he's still not scoring goals, and you've got to ask questions. But now Taylor is your fourth choice striker. If someone offers you $2 million in the championship for your fourth choice striker,
as long as you have a replacement lined up.
Yeah, and here's the thing: like, I'm sure they'll do some business in January. Luton will anyway. But you talk about replacements lined up. If you let Taylor go, you still got Adebayo, you still got Morris, you still got Woodrow as long as he doesn't leave. You just said Brown can play through the middle. That's 4 straight off the bat.
I think you need 5 strikers. You need 5 strikers just for eventualities. So say you're starting with 2, then 1 or 2 to come off the bench, and then you've got room for injuries as well.
So realistically, you would need, you say 5, you would need Adebayo, Morris, Woodrow and Brown as experienced heads to come off the bench, and then a young player that's developing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we've got right now, except Brown's injured. But and here's the most important thing. We're talking about if he moves. The most important thing is, does he want to move? If he doesn't want to be there.
Well, if he doesn't want to be there, that's different. But I think it's just Alan Nixon basically trying to sell Colin Ince at the moment, because there's no way we'd be sort of, agreeing fees for players come January.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. As soon as the window's shut, Everton are going to sign Adebayo for $15 million in January, a day after the window shuts. You're thinking, That's just nuts paper talk.
Yeah. I mean, until it comes from Fabrizio, then I'm not believing it.
Right. Other news we had this week. Finally, the detailed plans for the stadium. 25,000 capacity. I'll tell you, franchise must be looking and thinking, now we're in trouble, because they built this 30,000 stadium thinking they would fill it, or hoping they'd fill it, and hoping they could get our fan base. They're now stuck down in League Two, and by the way, losing 3-0 to the, well, I would say the original Wimbledon, but
the real club, the real Dom.
Yeah. Getting, I don't know how many hundreds of viewers in their stadium, not enough, and suddenly they're not an attractive proposition even for something neutral. Other than the fact they have a nice stadium, they do not have a nice team. They don't have a nice reputation. They're in League Two, so against a team in the Championship, who's we want to get back in the Premier League, with a new ground that's rivals them capacity almost good enough, and also smack bang in the town centre as well. Yeah,
I mean, the plans look really good. The pictures that I've seen, or the what I've seen of it, like the model or the 3D or whatever you want to call it, it looks really cool. It looks really, really nice. My question would be, if we're not in the Premier League, do we fill a 25,000 seater stadium?
I think basically the way they're having it, will we fill it or not? We're getting nearer, but I mean, originally I think the plans were 17,500 because they didn't want the empty seats. Then it went up a bit, and then think, well, I've got the money, may as well go for the full 25,000, because it's cheap to build a 25,000 now than it is to build it piecemeal.
Yeah.
There'd be ways around it. So if you've got the funds there, you may as well just build them and hope we can get up there. If you do get to the Premier League, we'd fill that.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I said, like, if we're not in the Premier, that's why I said if we're not in the Premier League, because if we're in the Premier League, we're easily selling out 25,000. Like, you'd probably still have people complaining that they can't get tickets. Yeah. My concern would be in the Championship when you don't have the Premier League behind you, that name brand or whatever you want to call it, But going back to, we don't want to give them too much airtime here, but you're bringing up the franchise just made me think of the Stick to Football podcast. I don't know if you've seen it, with Roy Keane talking about how Salford were playing MK Dons, and MK are 1-0 down, and they're playing out from the back, and the goalkeeper's just like passing around. He's like playing out in the back, and it's like 60-70 minutes in the clock, and Keane's talking about this in the podcast. And he's just like, I just want to call a timeout and just call over the goalkeeper and go, "You're losing. You're losing. Get the fucking ball up. Get the ball forward. What are you doing? You're not even doing it well." Yeah, it just made me laugh when I heard that, because like, anytime anyone takes a pop at that team, it's good.
No, I'm not doxing the call them a team. They're an entity. They're certainly not a club.
I have a question, and we're talking about this far too much now. But didn't they just get investors or bought out or something?
Yeah, they got some sort of Middle East investor, which I'm praying it turns out to be like the ones who took over Notts County a few years ago.
Yeah, that'd be great if they're in the conference. Like, they're going the right way. They're going the right way, They're doing the right thing. They're getting themselves relegated all the way to the bottom of the football pyramid, and then work your way up like you should have fucking in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I think start down about step 7 and then sort of go pop reform. Yeah, maybe I might give them a chance then.
Okay, no, you won't. No, you won't.
Nah, we just laugh at their demise, as would
Exactly. But we've talked about them far too much. So let's get back to Luton.
Okay, so we've got on to Saturday, and we have, would you believe, towards the end of September, our first 3 p.m. Saturday home kickoff of the season.
Hey! These 4:30 starts are fucking killing me, dude.
But that's just the way it's sort of the game's gone. All the sort of 12:30 kickoffs, Sky doing 20 games there. So yeah, it's good for exposure. I suppose it's good for the money, but it's not. 3 o'clock kickoffs are a rarity now.
Yeah, unfortunately. I remember back in the day growing up, obviously, I don't think he's had it in England because obviously they wanted people to go to games. They never showed him over there. But every Saturday afternoon, the local broadcaster RTE would have a Premier League football game, just a random game. Or not Premier League. It was the football Division 1 back in them days, and they'd have a random game on a Saturday afternoon. And that was the best thing ever. Like, you'd go in at 2:30, 2:45, get something to eat, watch the game, then be back out on the streets then until 8, 9 o'clock playing football, and it was just it was the greatest thing ever. Like 3 o'clock, it's so sad that they've got away from them because
money talks, doesn't it? At the end of
money
the day.
talks, money talks at the end of the day. But it was so great just this Saturday, and then whatever games you didn't see, you'd watch it match of the day later on that night, and like Saturdays was always the football day, and then it slowly and surely with the Premier League and everything else got away from that.
Now it's a football weekend, Friday through to Monday. The occasional one on Thursday if you want it at various times, and with the 247 games televised.
I mean, like you look at right now, and it's like there was a Friday game, I think in the Championship, right? Then there's the Saturday early games in both the Premier League and the Championship. Then you have your 3 o'clock games, which there's not many of. Then you had I'm trying to get the UK times on this, but you had a
5 o'clock game as well.
And you had an 8 o'clock game, right? Because you had Chelsea Bournemouth at 8 o'clock on Saturday.
Did we? No, can't
yeah. So you had 2 late games on Saturday. Then you had obviously the North London derby and another game on Sunday. I don't think there was any games yesterday. And now you've got the League Cup, and it's just like it's great because there's so much available now. You can like watch whatever you want.
You've actually got some situation. You've actually got some clubs are playing 2 games tonight.
Yeah, they're under 21s.
Yeah.
In the what's it called now? I'll always remember it's the Johnson's Pay Trophy.
Was it Papa John's? I
don't know. I remember it as the Johnson's Pay Trophy.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's like it's for people not being able to get to the games. It's definitely great nowadays. Like all these streaming services and everything else that there's so much on TV. Like you can watch pretty much any game you want. Like, for instance, it's whatever time in the just gone afternoon here in California. I've been up since early this morning and I've already watched Aston Villa and in the European Cup or Champions League, and Everton's on the TV now as I'm recording this. So it's just like football throughout the whole day. It's great, but at the same point, nostalgia makes you think like those 3 o'clock Saturday kickoffs they were special.
So it'd be actually nice to have a rare one again.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. Although I work this weekend, so I hope I won't get to witness it anyway.
And hopefully we can actually put a few results together now. But obviously teams aren't going to necessarily roll over, but we shall see.
And that's the main thing. Like we've got to get some wins under our belt now. Like as you said, teams aren't going to roll over. I think I was looking at the table and like I was surprised to see Oxford as high up as they are. After coming up last season, most people I think would have probably put them down to struggle. They're doing relatively. I think they're in the top 6. They got the Stoke manager fired by the looks of it.
Stoke have actually become the new Watford.
Yeah, great. I can't stand Stoke as it is, so even better. But it just goes to show you again that the league's getting harder and harder. These teams coming up from League One are showing that they can, like even we did it. Like they're showing that they can hang. They may eventually go back down, but they're gonna at least put up a hell of a fight. There's gonna be no easy games.
No, and I mean you get one of the ones that comes up at least will then go back down, but it's not like the Premier League where you get 3 go up with their sort of instantly favourites, 3's come back down. Obviously, it might be slightly different this year because Everton have been so far Everton hopeless completely. Southampton, as you said, they look the ones most likely to come straight back down. Which, considering they're a Premier League club for quite a long time, they only spent 1 season out. That's quite impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been impressed with Southampton at all since they came up, and I know it's only a couple of games in the season, but the ones that I've seen, not impressed at all. I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to play. It reminds me a lot of Burnley last year, where he's trying to stick to his philosophies and stick to the way he plays, it's not going to get them far. You know, they're going to go straight back down. And as much as they're putting up a fight and they're the Luton of the Premier League this year, I think Ipswich will go straight back down as well. The one that I think has a chance, especially now that they didn't get the points deduction, is going to be Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Everton could be the team that take their place, which I mean,
Everton consistently seem to put it out of the bag.
They consistently seem to pull it out of the bag, but you gotta remember in the 80s and probably early 90s, we were that team. Always used to pull it out of the bag. Always used to somehow manage to stay up. Eventually, your luck runs out, and eventually for Everton, it's gonna run out unless they get their shit together, and they will go down. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it's this year. I know that some of the fans are calling for Deutsch's head, and I don't understand why, because if anyone's going to get you out of that predicament, it's probably Deutsch, especially with the way he plays. You're not going to play nice football.
No.
But if anyone's going to get you out of that, it's going to be Deutsch, just playing fucking Route 1 football.
You see, and you can just imagine the fact we actually got a win, and we've actually run out of stuff loose. Got a win, had a new contract, got the stadium, and now we're talking about other stuff.
That's because we only record every 2 weeks, Nick, and normally we have 2 games to talk about and 2 weeks worth of stuff. But realistically, this time we only have 1 week worth of stuff because the international break and there was nothing important happened during that. So that's why we're running out of things to say at like 30 minutes into the podcast. But I know you want to bring up the international break. So
I already did.
we're like. Were you happy? Were you happy the way you there was moments in that game where I actually thought we could score. Which I mean, if you're England, you should be fucking embarrassed. You know?
Well, any team can have half chances, but I think you got a couple of balls into the box. So I don't think it was. I think it was just very, there's a new game in charge, very, very comfortable. It's obviously there was the booing of the national anthem, which is always quite amusing because you get the you get the Scots, the Welsh, the Irish. Whenever the England boo the national anthem, or suddenly they say how disgraceful it is and how it shows lack of respect. And then not only they boo it, but the stadium announcer actually played the national anthem at a quieter volume as well. And I thought, okay, fine, you're going to boo it, but I was just quite amused by the hypocrisy.
The PA wanted to get out live; he didn't want to play it too loud. No, but for me, it was all about just getting it off without a hitch. Ireland were never going to win. You know, I think I said this to you beforehand. Like, keeping the score down was a win for us, and obviously the Greece result was a lot worse to take than England.
If you have a manager that came out and said keeping the score down is a win.
No, but realistically, like you don't expect them to come out and say that, but inside, realistically, like keeping the score down is a win. You know, and that's why I said it. Anything less than 3-0, I'm happy. You know, I think England. Don't get me wrong, England cruised. You know, they really did cruise, but there was certain parts of the game where maybe unrealistically I got my hopes up for the Greece and kind of thought maybe we can get something from Greece, and then the Greece performance was worse than the England performance. Which
Greece would have been one you'd been looking realistically possibly getting some points from. The England game,
exactly. No, and I think I said this to you before. Like the Greece game was more important for Ireland than the England game, just because realistically you're thinking you can pick up points there, but it reminded me of the second half of Millwall, where no matter what Ireland did, the passing was just in today's day and age, if you can't pass the ball 5 feet in front of you, you definitely should not be playing international football. Probably shouldn't be playing football, but you definitely shouldn't be playing international football. And I think that's kind of a problem we have now with Ireland at the moment, is that we have a couple of decent players, but none of them are comfortable. None of them are fantastic.
You've got a couple of decent players. They got English parents. I'm just wondering if it's too late to sort of give them a scale just in case we need some sort of,
They played in competitive games. I think it's too late. But like you look at Ireland and like you look at England, and every single name on that list is playing for their club, probably first choice for their club. Maybe not the City players because No one ever knows what Pep's going to do. You look at the Ireland team, and even the goalkeeper's not a regular. Like, he's not a regular with his club team.
Well, I think I saw something that said there's more subs not used, Irish subs not used in the Premier League of the national team than there are actually Irish players who start.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem we have. Like, our hopes right now, realistically, rely on Evan Ferguson staying fit and producing. Because I think he's the one talent we have that you look at and kind of go, okay, he can change the game. He can be a handful. He could do something, but we got to keep him fit. Like, I'll be honest with you, and I don't want to turn this into the Ireland podcast, but I do not understand for the life of me. Well, I do because there's no one there. But Will Smallbone is a Premier League player right now, and it baffles me how he is, because I don't see anything that he does right. And it's just like I like Robbie Brady. He was always going to have a hard time against Saka. It's just the way it is. Like, Saka's a fantastic player. He was always going to have a hard time. Against lesser opponents and against other people, he'll be fine. He'll be okay. But yeah, I mean, it was always going to happen. It is what it is. I'm not too downbeat about it. I was more downbeat about the fact that Luton had started their season without a win, if I'm being totally honest. But got that out of the way.
That's been rectified now anyway.
That's been rectified. So more than happy with that.
And has also kept a lot of the social media moaning down. Then again, my social media is now getting filled with all sorts of other stuff for one particular thing, but we touched on that. So yeah, we talked about that before we recorded. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, going back to Luton, it'll be interesting to see if he stays with the line, because obviously he wasn't happy with the performance. He came out and said that. It'll be interesting to see if he stays with the lineup for the next game or if he makes changes. And if he makes changes, where will the changes be? Well, the interesting one is going to be, obviously, I think Walters obviously got a knock because he wasn't in the squad. Baptiste as well. Baptiste as well wasn't in the squad. Yeah. So those are the two that'll be interesting if they're fit again, if they come straight back in. Yeah. And I mean, the one aspect of the game against Millwall that you have to be happy with is the fact that you kept a clean sheet. Yes, you need your keeper to bring off a fantastic save and then a routine save that under a lot of pressure. But your backline for 99% of the time did their job. Yeah. I mean, we talked about, McGuinness in the back, and every time a ball comes into the box, you feel a little bit nervous. But actually, no, it wasn't coming into the box. It was basically if there was a ball that was coming over, if it's kind of, in the air, if it's got a possibility of bouncing. There were a couple of times on Saturday, I thought, "Oh, what's he doing there again?" It's and that does worry me slightly about him. And he's obviously getting used to playing beside new people, and then the backline hasn't exactly been consistent either, so he's having to learn new people every time. Reece Burke, I think everyone kind of touched on, had a really good game against Millwall. But it'll be interesting to see, because they kept a clean sheet, if that's the backline he's going to go with again on Saturday. And then if he wasn't happy with the rest of the team, like, what changes does he make? Walter, I think, has to start again. Just for his first half performance. Nakamba, if he can't play plays. So then you're kind of just looking at the front three, right? And like you've obviously touched on, you think Chong had a good game, and I know a lot of people thought the same thing. And Alabayu, playing as the lone striker, didn't have a lot of success against the 2-3 Millwall defenders. Clark, after me turning around and saying he's probably been our best player, was really bad. So I'm not saying anything going forward. Well, I think you touched it. Everyone's sort of, starting lineup had sort of Clark nowhere near it, and that's a little bit sort of, showing lack of respect, especially as he's quite a sort of important player. But you can see people thinking, oh well, if we've got the midfield trying to push that in. Obviously, nobody had Walsh starting either. Yeah, to me, Clark was the one player that I looked at in the first couple of games where, apart from Dowdy, because obviously his crosses and whatnot, and they haven't been up to par, but Clark was the one player that I thought he can create something for us. He can make something happen. Against Millwall, he was invisible. We shall see. But yeah, I think probably wrap it up there because otherwise we're going to be trying to skirt the barrel. Well, we already have. We've talked about some international football for fuck's sake.
We talked about the franchise. We talked about international football.
Talked about Everton.
We talked about Everton. I don't think we should put this podcast out.
Edit it down to about 50 minutes, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we're good.
Okay. Right. We'll see. Speak to you next time.